buy yourself a gun.
What?
A gun.
What?
Like a handgun. For personal protection. If somebody tries to mug you.
What?
What if your government tries to throw you in a can?
What?
You're gonna want a shotgun.
Oh. What?
Or an automatic rifle. And a lot of ammo.
Gun?
Yeah, gun.
We're all set to riot. Buy a gun before you lose your Second Amendment. Buy a gun. They'll burn you out like a Waco. They'll stick your ass in a camp. Check for the cops in riot gear. Gonna kick your ass and laugh. The revolution is on its way. Better lock and load your AK. Buy a gun, 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 buy a gun before you wish you bought a gun. Buy a gun, 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 buy a gun before you wish you bought a gun. We're all set to riot. Buy a gun before you lose your Second Amendment. Buy a gun. They gave your money to the banksters. They stole your pension funds. It's time that we took to the streets. It's time we had our turn. A revolution is on its way, and the founding fathers would say, buy a gun, 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 buy a gun before you wish you bought a gun. Buy a gun, 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 buy a gun before you wish you bought a gun. They're riot in the streets. Revolution's not clean and neat. You gotta riot in the streets. Revolution's not clean and neat. You gotta drag them through the streets.
It is Tuesday. It's primer time. That means it is unfiltered straight talk about firearms. My name is Michael.
And I'm Nick. Michael, how you doing?
Nicholas, what's the word up?
Oh,
What's the word, man? How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm recovering from that surgery on my Achilles tendon, so sitting back. And
That's the hobbling surgery, similar to the movie Roots, where they cut your Achilles tendon.
yeah.
You be a good slave now, Toby.
I used to be Toby.
Now you've had your Toby ligament repaired, it appears.
It did, and it came straight with Kevlar fiber.
That's right, Kevlar. Thank you, Kevlar, protecting our finest for many years and also providing excellent fishing line.
That's right. We use a lot of that in that Power Pro line.
Spider wire is not only good fishing line, but spider wire has many, many uses outside the area. And I'm telling you, you could probably tie down objects a lot larger than you would think that fishing line would tie down with spider wire. I really enjoy that product. It's a little bit pricey, but I think it's worth every bit of it.
I'll tell you what, you definitely don't want to use that stuff unless you've got a gloved hand, because nylon braided wire will leave a nasty cut.
I'm not rappelling down anything, and I'm not really running it like that.
Yeah.
I just want to tie down something in the back of my truck with it.
That's why I go ahead and get one of those truck bed bungee wraps. Make sure that it doesn't.
Sometimes it happens that truck bed bungee wrap doesn't necessarily fit around what I have to use, and in my area, truck bed bungee wraps don't last.
Yeah, I would figure the humidity and the moisture do their job on it.
Yeah, the salt air does a pretty good job, and also the UV rays from the sun. And, as we're talking about this, I would have to say that the salt air and here does a job on firearms. And unfortunately, I'd come into a brand new purchase, and I was in a rush when I got home. And it wasn't actually a purchase. It was a trade. It was a really nice deal for me. And I put it away, and I didn't get a chance to wipe it down, and I got busy. And the next day, and I sort of put it to the back of my mind. And when I went to pull it out the other day, I had a little bit of the Cheeto disease.
Yeah. Got little sticky fingers on it.
Well, no, I'm talking about the orange.
Yeah, that stuff doesn't just come orange and dry.
Yeah, I had a little bit of the rust, and I'm really not happy with it. So I'm considering Cerakoting, and I'd like to try and get a guy on who does some Cerakoting. See if you'd like to come on and give us a little bit of information about it. But I'll tell you what, I'm really at a loss for my firearms down here, just with the amount of corrosion that goes on just naturally occurring down here. It's really become a problem, and it doesn't matter if I coat everything in gun oil. I almost have to keep it wrapped up in a sock.
Yeah, certainly. They make
gun oil.
those.
I'll be honest with you. Gun oil doesn't work down here. Like Rem oil or whatever, Frog Lube or whatever kind of like fancy lubricant that you like or preservative doesn't work down here. I mean, I use actual machine lubricant down here, like gear oil, like 90 weight, like you buy it at Walmart for like $7.99 for a quart, and that doesn't even work down here.
Yeah, so, I think that you can definitely extend the life of your firearm, but due to the environment where it's stored, you can really end up shortening it by not properly taking care of it. Definitely want to make sure that you store it in some kind of container that's, number one, protects against corrosion, whether it be with desiccant packs or infused with desiccant. I have a Browning.
That's another important thing. I mean,
yeah.
An airtight container doesn't necessarily ensure that you're going to be rust-free or corrosion-free, because an airtight container just traps the moisture that causes
traps the ambient moisture that's
inside
in there.
So,
right,
and I would tell pretty much everybody at every one of the big box stores, every one of them, doesn't necessarily have to be one by name. It's every kind of store that has a sporting goods section that may have a firearm section or a hunting section. They sell a velour flocked case. It's a velour lined case. If you live anywhere where the ambient humidity may get above 60%, please throw that case in the garbage. Don't sell it to anybody, because you're passing on a problem. Get rid of those things. They're horrible. They suck up moisture like a sponge. And I've got a really, really sad tale on a really, really nice pistol that involves one of those cases. And it's really, truly a heartbreaker, because it's one of those kind of pistols when you call the manufacturer and you try to get to like the records department, the 3 girls that answer the phone will tell you that, oh, you've got to speak to the historian.
Yeah.
And to see that covered with rust and velvet flock makes me want to not sing Christmas carols.
It doesn't take you to the happy place.
It does not. It
Yeah.
does not. Makes me wonder what Augustus Gloop did in the Great Big Chocolate River.
Yeah, well, like I was telling you earlier, Michael, I've got a Browning double rifle case, and that thing actually has the pressure release valves on it. So if it's something that you go between different barometric pressure regions, you can keep some of that moisture out. It's got rubber gaskets to prevent transmission of moisture, and it's also infused with desiccant to make sure that it soaks up any ambient moisture that's in when you pack the weapons.
Nah, that does not sound like something that cost $129 from the big box store.
No, that would have been $229.
And that's probably with a significant discount and a little bit of shopping around.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. It was on sale.
Yeah, that's a little bit out of my range. And this is something I've been considering was, vacuum sealer, like Seal-A-Meal and Ron Popeil and, of spray on hair fame.
Yeah.
There's several companies that make a vacuum sealing device. And I know that they have the bags on a roll, and some of these devices, when you buy them at a lower end, you don't actually get the bags on a roll. You get a bag that maybe be a foot long, 10 inches long, 8 inches long, maybe 14 inches long. But if you buy the bags on a roll, that would fit the appropriate width. I would think that if you were to put a good coat of, bearing grease or something all over a rifle, and then wrap it in a good kind of maybe like a polymer, saran wrap or something inside of a vacuum seal bag. That would help to keep, some of the firearms, if you live in a highly corrosive area such as
Right.
for long-term storage. Because, I mean, a lot of people may have one firearm. Some people have 2 or 3 firearms. Some people have 4 or 5 firearms. There's people who have 5 or 6, 7. I mean, I know people that have, well, they would need a small home to hold their firearms, and it's really not all that unusual. This guy's actually got a bit of coin behind him, but I mean, he's a nice guy. He's a regular dude. I mean, I know plenty of guys who have not even 1/10 of this guy's money, not 1/100th of this man's money, and they've got quite an impressive collection of firearms. And this is something that plagues us all, And this is a cost-effective way of remedying this situation, because I'm telling you, it's just heartbreaking to see that Cheeto all over it.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, a lot of folks end up having that problem when it comes to older firearms that they've been handed down over time. That there's a lot of these people that have these old Ithaca shotguns, probably got a good coating of that Rust-Oleum, required material to get rid of. And that's a shame, because a lot of those firearms probably have a function that works very well, but they're no longer visually appealing. And after a while, that rust does tend to work its way into the molecular structure of the metal and break it down, and then it just ends up ruining the
you end up pitting and maybe, and it seems to always happen right around where there's some sort of engraving, whether it's the stamping or some sort of indentation in the metal where the moisture can hide. And I'll tell you what, I'm a sucker for stamps on firearms. I have a particular fondness for Browning high powers, and if you've got a Browning high power that doesn't necessarily have an odd small stamp, but has like large stamping on the frame, that's interesting. I kind of have a fondness for those, and boy, those tend to they like to get eaten by the rust monster if you're not 100% on top of them.
Right. Yeah. I'll tell you what.
I mean, it doesn't affect the function, but when you pull something out that you thought you had put away correctly, and oh my God, look at that.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, I've got even a Mossberg 500. We've talked about it before, and just even between the times where I've been away for extended periods and it's sat in the safe, I've brought it out and taken it a good look over, and it's had a little bit of rust starting to develop, and it isn't because of any misuse or improper care on my part. It's solely due to the amount of humidity in the places where I was living. It spent a year locked up while I was in another location in the Middle East while it was in Hawaii, and I came back and there was a noticeable layer of rust on it, and that was very displeasing.
That's nearly heartbreaking. Yeah, it is. It's very disheartening. And I'll tell you what, a very good friend of mine has made a trade, and I'd like to try and get him on. He's actually, I think, looking to make he made the oral deal for the trade today, and I think the actual trade takes place on Saturday.
Oh.
I should say verbal deal rather than the oral deal, but
yeah, those oral deals get you in trouble.
He's making a trade of a Browning high power and $200, and it's actually a very nice Browning high power. I mean, it's got a little bit of wear, and it's pretty nice. But that and $200, and he's getting a 92 Beretta Inox and the Beretta 380 Model 84, and it's referred to as a Cheetah, which I believe is the 7-round magazine in 380, and that's a very nice pistol. But he's going to bring me a good quality example of something that's been Cerakoted, because this Cheetah normally comes in blued steel, the royal blued steel from Beretta, or it comes with the service blued, and I wouldn't be able to tell you which one it was.
Yeah.
Without taking a look at it and certain numbers, but it's been Cerakoted in a titanium color, which makes it look like it was stainless.
Yeah. So just to make sure
to call it the Inox.
Yeah, just to make sure that we're getting our listeners up to speed, if they don't know what Cerakoting is, it's a protective polymer coating that goes on the frame of the firearm that you wish to use it on, and it'll help extend the life of the frame itself. So.
And it's supposedly it's got a hardness 3 times prison concrete.
Yep.
Is what I'm told, which is fairly hard. It's scratch resistant and scuff resistant. It'll withstand going into a leather holster far better than the bluing. Now, for some purists out there, that may disturb you, but at this point, I'm almost to the point of I'd rather see this thing functional and not take any more damage and lose the immediate value right there, knowing that this functions for forever, than to continue to have to battle the rust monster at significant displeasure and almost just drain on my life, because it would take a significant time to vacuum pack and clean up and prepare everything to be sealed and mealed.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, short of breaking down the individual firearm to its most basic components, properly lubricating them, and then preserving them in some kind of either, muslin bandage or something like that before storing them. That's when you think about it over the cost and the life of the weapon, that's a really cost-effective way to preserve that firearm.
Well, it is. I think using the seal and meal is completely cost effective, because I've seen rolls of the bags that would be wide enough to accommodate.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to check with you, Michael. Have you seen anything on the price of 22 lately? Oh, it sounds like Michael dropped off for a second. We'll go ahead and we'll get him back. I wanted to bring up, I've actually found we've got on a couple different websites, I'm starting to see, 22 long rifle coming out at about 8.5 cents a round. There's an offer on a website right now, and it's a 300 pack of Winchester 22 long rifle. And we're getting him, I think it's about $26 with about an added $5 shipping and handling charge. That'll do it. I think that's a pretty worthwhile. It's a pretty worthwhile investment, and you can't really do a whole lot better than that right now. I think that for the money and for the quality of the product, you're not gonna do a whole lot worse or a whole lot better than Winchester white box. But I think that's something that we could all invest $30 or so on and bring to the forefront. One of the other things that I'm looking at is we talk about the AR-15s, and there's a couple of deals out there right now, and I'm seeing some backup optics, and there's actually a set of the Embus, the Magpul backup sights, and they've actually got on one of the websites that I go to, they've got a good deal, and it's $69, which is probably about $20 reduction in price, and then you add in maybe if you get a little bit of a couple other items, you can save on the shipping. So it sounds like Michael's still having a little bit of technical difficulties. So one of the things that I wanted to bring up is talking about AR-15s there for a minute, talking about some of the things that folks like to go ahead and get added on to the weapon, talking about the sights. A lot of people spend a little bit of money going into, putting on optics, and, whether it's a holograph sight, a backup iron sight, or whatever. One of the things that I hear as far as getting the best deal is really going with the backup sights. And if you don't do anything in terms of optics, you want to definitely go ahead and get a backup sight. You can get anything from Magpul, you can get it from Midwest Industries, you can get whether you even go with the old A2 style bird cage, down at the end of the barrel on the muzzle, or the A-frame for the gas block and the front sight post. You're definitely going to need that, and if you don't get it, you're going to end up totally being reliant on the optics, and optics can get expensive. you're really going to get what you pay for in that regard, and you're going to spend the money to get quality, and it's better off that you do it, because if you don't, you're going to end up being real sorry for it. I think that when it's all said and done, that if you get if you go ahead and get the better optics, you're gonna be able to save a little bit of money worthwhile. Michael, we got you back yet?
Hey, how you doing?
All right.
Sorry about that.
Not a problem.
Sorry to leave you on the loop like that, man.
No, that's okay. Yeah, we roll with the punches here.
Roll with the punches and grease what squeaks.
Yeah. So, Michael, we were just while you were offline, we were talking about getting back into the realm of what's available on 22, and we talked about a deal on SlickGuns.com. They've got a set of Winchester White Box, a 300 pack for $26, and then $5 shipping. If you got over.
And that's how many's in that box? Did you say?
It's a 300 round box with a it looks like a Cabela's decorative box.
Little wood box around it, so sort of the Christmas box.
Yeah, kind of. It's got the Winchester logo on the side.
That box is normally a 525, and then I think they make a 325. So they're knocking 25 rounds off the box, and they're giving you this little decorative wood. I'm guessing it's a wood box made in China, sort of.
Yeah, that's exactly
okay.
What it is.
And now that's, what did you say the price was? $26.95?
Yeah, $25.99, and then you got to add some shipping and handling. So just with the ammo alone, you're looking at about 8 cents, closer to 9 cents per round.
Yeah. I think that's a little bit gimmicky marketing, and that's kind of nice stocking stuff. Or I wouldn't suggest that for somebody stocking up. Now, if it's the only thing available when you're around and you've got a little bit of coin, go ahead and buy it, because, hey, ammo is ammo. Brass is as good as gold or silver, probably.
Yeah. Not only that, if there's no limit on it, you can go ahead and hold on to that. And if you want to give, a Christmas gift.
The price does nothing but go up. And, honestly, after you shoot that 300 rounds, that little box comes in handy. You can put screws in it,
Yeah.
You can load it up with other ammo again. Some people like to, load up a little bit of ammo in a little kind of container, a little Tupperware or something like that. Those two little Brass Max 100 round little cans work out nicely for that.
Right.
For 22 around. So, I mean, it's not the greatest deal in the world, but it's not a horrible deal.
No,
it's kind of an exploitive Christmas deal in my mind.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say, is that if you wanted to go ahead and set something aside to give as a Christmas gift to somebody that that shoots a 22 long rifle, that's a worthwhile endeavor, because it's something that you can get shipped to them.
Well, I mean, the economy has changed, and the 25 the Secret Santa at the workplace is now probably $25 is probably the new cutoff. So that'd work.
Yeah.
It used to be $10, but the dollar buys a nickel now. So if you do the math, 25 is the new 10 somehow.
Yeah, and second thing we're talking about is looking at a deal from Brownells. They've got a deal on the backup sights for the Magpul backup iron sights, and they're down to $69 for the pair, the front and the rear sight, and they're usually
$69 for a pair.
Yep.
So that would come out to be about $75 shipped by the post office.
Yeah, depending upon whatever you got in terms of their. Let's see.
That's a screaming deal right there, because that's about half price.
That actually, yeah.
The front sight was $49, and that rear sight was $79.
Yeah. So when I look at the shipping added, it's $8. So you're looking at $77. I've seen them where you can get it probably right at about $100, delivered to your door.
That's a pretty good deal. That is a pretty good deal. And you mentioned the Winchester box and the Christmas promotion. One of my favorites has always been it's always either been Winchester or Remington. Has always had a little pocket knife, and honest to God, I've had so many of those pocket knives that I've lost. but they've always come in handy at one point or another. So if you see the little kit that's got a pocket knife or a flashlight, I also like the little flashlight kits. 300. Remington usually does the flashlights.
Right.
They'll
Right.
do 300 rounds in a tin, so it'll be like, I don't know, six 50-round paper boxes, Thunderbolt or Golden Bullet, and they'll have like a little imitation case pocket knife, little two-bladed thing, and that'll probably be right around the $20-25 mark too. I always thought those were kind of neat. They may have a little knockoff Chinese, single, double A, triple A Maglite copy in there as well. Probably that's going to be in about the $20 range usually.
Yeah, and thinking about it, we are getting close to the holiday times here. We're getting 2.5 months out. You may be able to pick up some kind of swag when you make your purchases too.
Well, and it's a nice gift to give to your friends who are like-minded or your family that's like-minded, and it promotes the sport. I mean, yeah, if you know somebody who's brand new and perhaps bought their first firearm recently, a gift that would complement that, that doesn't break the bank might not be a bad deal if you're in that, if you're in the gift giving place with that person.
Oh yeah. And anything that's branded or got a logo on there, some people have a brand loyalty, so you can pick something up as a gimme for making a purchase, and you can make somebody's day with that.
Oh yeah, I mean there's certain things you buy certain items. Say you need a new bolt for an AR-15, and people like to change those, like they change rims on a car.
Yeah.
And, say you buy a bolt for an AR-15, you get a long sleeve Colt t-shirt with it, or a long sleeve, I don't know who else makes bolts, CMMG or somebody like that.
Right.
That gift's fine to give to a buddy.
Yeah, certainly.
I'm not necessarily saying you give that to the wife or the significant other, but buddies do throw gifts their way every once in a while. And that's what we got the freedom and the ability to do it. We should continue that. But I think that the gift should not be useless. I think you got a buddy who likes to shoot shotgun. Get that guy get him a box of whatever he likes to shoot. A box of dove and quail.
Yeah, depending upon where you're at, maybe turkey load.
Yeah, but even a cheap box of dove and quail, 25 in a box, nobody's going to turn that down, and that's what, $6 out of your pocket?
Yeah,
at Walmart.
It's not a whole lot. Yeah. I'll tell you what, looking at some of the ammo, I'm starting to see some of the larger caliber stuff come back into stock, and I was really surprised about that.
But that 22 was still gone, isn't it? That 22
yeah. 22, and I'm not seeing a whole lot of that, and if I am, it's
I'll tell you what, I
50
did notice in my area some 22 came into stock, and in a couple of the boards that I look at, there was a feeding frenzy. It was like they had thrown fresh chum in the water, and all the piranhas were going after those chunks of pig flesh.
Oh yeah.
It was the post came up early in the morning that there was CCI mini mags in the 100 round count plastic box, and then there was some CCI standard pistol velocity 100 count, but it's in a paper box. It's a long double box,
right?
And a little more significant paper, but that stuff runs 1070. It's perfect for a lot of uses. It runs great in a 1022. It runs great in a Ruger Mark II. It runs great in any kind of revolver. It runs great in some of the lower end 22 rifles. It's good stuff. It's not necessarily high velocity, but it works in some of the older designs that have been sitting around for a long time. Well, that post came out early in the morning, and then later on I'd say probably about 3-4 hours later, the posts of the people who bought it were trying to resell it came right up. And I'd like to say that there was a great big backlash against those people.
Oh yeah. You're gonna hear people getting wise to the game too. So they're gonna back off of those folks.
So I'd like to say to the guy who just picked up like 18 boxes of CCI standard pistol velocity and decided that he was gonna double his money, I hope you enjoy sitting on all those rounds.
Yeah, certainly. certainly.
I'm guessing you don't necessarily shoot that much, because if you did, you'd have bought otherwise.
Yeah. So looking around the net, I'm starting to see some good deals coming out of the folks at Palmetto State Armory. They're back to the sub $500 AR platform. They've got a
Is that a complete ready to go mil spec rifle, or is that
it is
is
with,
that a plinker
no
rifle?
no 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 this is the 5.56 carbine with the 16-inch barrel. And it is after rebate, it's $449, but sale
and
price.
that has a does that? Let me ask you, does that have like a dust cover and a forward assist on it?
Yeah, it sure does. Sure does.
Okay.
So, and it is the Bushmaster Optics Ready carbine. So,
Okay.
basically, it doesn't have the front sight or the rear sight on it, but they do have the 1913 standard rails, and you can go ahead and put on that Embus from Magpul. If you find it for $60 or $70, and you've got right about $500 AR.
All right. So would you call that an M forgery?
Well, it's not an M forgery in the sense that it is Bushmaster, but like I said, it does have the gas block.
It is mil spec. It is a mil spec rifle.
Yeah, for the most part, for all intents and purposes, it is a mil spec rifle.
That's a pretty screaming deal at $449. I mean, considering that not more than a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, we were looking at
$1,200 plus.
something, and $1,200 plus for a rifle that's significantly inferior to that.
Yeah, exactly.
That would be the plinker quality.
Yeah.
I mean, we were speaking earlier. I mean, that gun show that I went to, that was right before the Feinstein bill came out. I mean,
right.
The prices on those items were just insanity.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And we spoke earlier about back when the crime bill hit in '94, and the Glock magazines being $100 for a 15-round mag, and it wasn't even a Glock factory mag. It was a manufacturer. I wouldn't even know who it was, and it didn't work.
Yeah.
And that was $100.
Yeah.
So if you've got the ability right now, and you've got something that takes a air quotes high capacity magazine, I go ahead and spend a couple $100 if you've got it. Spend $100 if you've got it. Spend $50 if you've got it, and buy a couple of magazines. It's better to have them now than to be just take it taxpayer style in the future.
Yeah, yeah. I'm also seeing some deals floating around for the 5.56 ammunition. Actually, Palmetto State Armory again comes up big. They've got a 420 round federal case on stripper clips for $155. So you're looking about 36 cents.
That's not a bad deal.
Yeah, 36 cents a round.
And because when that was considered to be back in stock, that was 50 cents a round, 45 cents to 50 cents a round. So 36 cents is a pretty good savings. And the stuff on stripper clips is usually what they consider to be a penetrator round. Is that correct?
It's not necessarily a penetrator round. It is a full metal jacket, and it does have a lead core. It's none of the stuff that's got the improved tungsten with infused copper that pretty much disintegrates on impact. But this is the regular X. Well, it's not even X anymore. It's the M855 ball ammo.
Okay. And 855 does not have a steel penetrator core.
No, it's not. Like I said, it's
that's
lead.
The green tip stuff.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. This is not the green tip stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, they call
that's
it from
that's
the.
Usually a little bit pricey.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And then this is the 55 grain ammo, and Federal calls it the XM 193.
Okay. And do you see any of that, like in your active military service?
We don't necessarily see what the manufacturer is, because when it comes out on government lots, the manufacturer's name will be stripped away, and you'll get a lot number. You'll get a manufacturing city or plant or something like that.
So it won't tell you that it's 855 or 192.
Yeah, we will say that if it says 855 on the box, we will say that because like I said, we'll know what it is that we're shooting in that regard, but we won't
Do
necessarily know the manufacturer.
you use more 855? You don't use the 192?
Right, we use a 855.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll tell you that talking about the difference between the standard lead, copper jacketed round versus the tungsten stuff, I've got a preference for the lead. Uh, it, ballistically, from what I understand, they perform similar.
I don't want to cut you off, but your preference for it would have to depend on the target you're engaging. Is that correct?
Well, certainly, and
Because
like I said, I'm not
bullet
engaging.
that's a penetrator is something that would be for something that's hardened.
Right, and you also got to take a look at the application of the round itself. That caliber is not very good for going up against a hardened vehicle or a structure. That's to me 5.56 is.
Well, I've seen some of the 5.56 that will penetrate nearly a half inch of steel.
Well, right, but in a sense that you got to have some good muzzle velocity pushing that out, and with us using the carbine barrels, we're not getting the full amount of muzzle velocity.
When you say carbine barrels, you use a rifle that's completely different than what's available to civilians. I mean, aside from its 3-burst or full auto air quotes capacity, you use a rifle that's got a 2-inch shorter barrel. Is that correct?
Correct. And that 2 inches translates to lost muzzle speed. So
that's right.
So that bullet is not.
These are all to consider. A 223 does 5.56 does perform best out of a 20-inch barrel.
It does, and the military has gone away with that. In most of the services, I think the Marine Corps still operates the 20-inch barrel on their M16s that are, I think, M16A4s now. But with the Army, we use the M4 carbines. I think I haven't used the M16A2. Oh, wow, roughly 15 years.
And that's the one with the great big full buttstock. There's no
collapsible. Yeah, there's no collapsible buttstock on it.
Well, what would you say the weight difference between the full buttstock and the new and improved Tapco series Mattel rifle for the military?
I mean, weight-wise, you got a more stable platform with the full buttstock. Weight is a little bit more with the full buttstock, but it's nothing that would make it unwieldy. I think for
how sturdy would that full buttstock be versus a collapsible buttstock be in auxiliary uses, such as you hit to whack a mofo upside the head with the buttstock of that rifle, which is going to survive.
I've seen the A2 style buttstock. I've seen them crack under just use and being dropped or falling off a vehicle. I've seen those crack. I've never seen a M4 collapsible 6-position stock crack. I've never seen that. Happen. Then again, I've had very limited opportunities to bash it over somebody's head, but
in the opportunities that you have had to bash it over somebody's head, it's performed admirably.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't had any complaints.
We're speaking tonight, so it's obviously worked.
Yeah.
Thank you for your head bashing skills. I appreciate it.
Yeah, that's right. So no, I think that when it comes to the main difference between the collapsible and then the standard A2 style buttstock, you really got to look at what we call shooter's preference. So when you shoulder that M4 series or M16 series rifle, the M16 is actually kind of unwieldy for a lot of people because they can't get a good what we call a cheek to stock weld, and you can't really shoulder that buttstock. And especially with the type of body armor and external armor protection that we wear nowadays, you can't get that into the pocket of your shoulder very well, and then be able to.
You find it to be too far.
Yeah, actually, I found it to be too far, and that's one of the good things about the 6-position stock is that it allows you to go ahead and really set it to your individual shooter's preference. So
That's the bane of short people everywhere.
It is either that or short folks with short arms.
Or very, very large chests.
Yeah. I'll tell you, I'm not the tallest guy, but having the six position stock, I can usually click it back about 2 notches, and I'm happy.
Well, the 6 position stock and a 22-inch neck.
It makes it easier when I have to put on the body armor and I don't have to even use the neck yoke. So, that's one of the things that I like. Everybody else around me's got their neck yokes on, looking like they're going out, and I've just got my body armor on with the regular collar, and it's like, wow, I can actually move my head. This is great.
Yeah, the little benefits in military life there for you.
Yeah. So yeah, I haven't really seen a whole lot of other deals. So I was kind of really surprised that, seeing the 5.56 ammo out here in my location. It's archery season. So deer season has kicked off, and we actually just had the first legal Sunday hunting in the state of Virginia. So that it was
that's nice. I have a friend who went bow hunting. And he took his crossbow, and a couple of people took their crossbow. And I'd like to report there's only one hole through the blind.
Oh yeah. Well, is it one of the
crossbow hunters? Be aware.
Is it the shoot through blind?
It's not a shoot through blind. No.
It is now.
It is now.
Yeah. Oh, well, that happens. Yeah, you'll find that one on Craigslist here in about 6 months.
No, because it was quite heavy.
Oh.
It was quite heavy. That one will rot in its place.
Oh, okay. Did you guys built a stand then?
Yeah, plywood and some treated 2x4s and 4x4s and some 2x6s and a little bit of tin for the roof. It should actually last fairly long if you quit putting holes in it.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things that I think I used to like really about the off hunting seasons, the times where shooting wasn't really possible due to weather, was I really liked going out and building those wooden high stands. I mean, to me that was good because it gave me a better understanding of the lay of the land. Also being elevated, I could really look down the muzzle of my rifle and see why we practice those fundamentals of safety. It's one thing to go out there and be ready to shoot on a range versus being ready to go out and shoot for when it counts, whether you're trying to put food in the freezer or trying to do your trophy hunts. You really got to go out and know what is beyond that immediate area around your stand.
Well, and know what direction the animals move in. Know what direction they like to sort of camp near the feeder when it goes off. Notice if they like to come directly after the feeder's there, or do they come at another time, on a regular?
Right. And that's one of the things that we talked about in the past is really setting up your patterning. Do you go ahead and do you get a trail camera? Do you get the clocks that you attach to the areas where they may be passing through, so they knock over the clock and kind of a couple different things.
What about the GPS enabled Wi-Fi cam that will connect to your Android device and give you 24/7 monitoring ability of your feeder?
I think that itself is great technology. However, I think that that's only practical if you're really trying to, number one, grow a herd and you're wanting to remove some undesirable game, or you've got some nuisance game that's threatening your livestock. I think that's probably the extent.
To me, honestly, that's if you've got nuisance cash threatening your wallet.
Yeah.
Because that also has a monthly fee. I mean, that's like adding a phone line.
Yeah, I don't think we have. I don't think we necessarily have too much nuisance cash where I come from.
Yeah, I'm short on nuisance cash right now. So any spare nuisance cash, send it to me in care of me, and I will make sure that it's disposed of properly.
Yeah. So I just, looking around on the internet, I wanted to wait until we got a little bit into the show, but I was gonna propose an idea that I have. Looking on my local trade and bartering site. There's a gentleman that's out there. He's got a 22 mag made by Stevens, and he's looking to trade it out for a lightweight climbing tree stand. And I'm gonna assess the value of the tree stand that I got recently, probably $50. What do you think you're looking at for a Stevens 22 mag?
22 mag right now is a fairly desirable rifle. I would say that you're looking at probably a value of 250, 275 at the very, very high, 225, maybe 185 on the low if you deal with a dealer that's got a little bit of cash to sit on and he's not really rushing. He's trying to take you. Yeah, so I'd say 185 to maybe 275. 275 that is not going to ever show up. So probably closer to the 2.25 area for an old Stevens Bolt 22 mag. But I'll tell you what, there's a resale on that like you don't know if you're not into 22 mag.
Well, and that's one of the things.
I think if I was you, I'd make that trade.
Yeah, I was thinking about it.
I'd tell that guy, I'd show up with the the chopped up foot situation that you've got on, and I'd say, look, I can't make it, so let's do this. At least I can go to the range and sit in a chair and use that rifle. And I think you got it right there. Yeah, I would make that trade if I was you.
That's what I was thinking. So that's one of the things is you want to always be on the lookout.
And if it's a Stevens, it's chances are if it's 22 mag, it's a little bit older, and means it's probably going to have a wood stock, and it's going to be nice American quality from most likely the early 70s. Early to mid 70s. I'd probably just offhand, I'd probably guess that rifle was somewhere between like 78 to 82.
Yeah. Well, I've seen some of the newer ones with the polymer stock. Those go for about 180. But when I look at for what
but not in 22 Magnum.
Yeah. Actually, Slickguns.com has they have the Stevens. It's a model 305, so it may be some difference in the model, but they're shipping it to your door for 175.
They are not shipping it to your door. They're shipping it to your FFL's door.
Oh, there you go. That's what I mean. My mistake.
So you're looking at this price of whatever it is, plus the dealer's fees and plus your shipping. So now your $189 rifle, you're looking at about $270.
Yeah, if you know somebody that does the FFL and you can get it for $25,
maybe $250.
Yeah, between $200 and $250.
But then you've also got the shipping cost, because the shipping cost is not included in a $179 rifle. There's no possible way.
No. So let's see. Let's see what they say. But yeah, it's a 20 and 3/4 inch barrel, and it's a 5-in-1 capacity. So yeah,
I think you should make that trade. You should totally make that trade. I think you should meet that guy and say, okay, let's go. I'm bringing it.
Sounds good.
You stand and take that rifle. And it may not be something that you like to shoot. If I was you, I would totally invest in the $20 for a box of 22 Magnum, which is what a box of 22 Magnum is going to cost you. And I refuse to pay $20 for a box of rimfire ammunition.
Yeah.
I truly do. I'm sorry. Rimfire ammunition is by definition is cheap and expendable. $20 for a box of 50 is not cheap and expendable. But that's my own personal problem. But a lot of people truly do enjoy the 22 Magnum. But I think you should get it and bust out a box of 50. It's worth it.
Well, and not only
take
that, that's a great.
Take your daughter out there, and it's a good training rifle, And
right.
And when your boy is old enough, he might like it,
Yeah. I mean, it's a great squirrel rifle. It's a great fox rifle. You can do a lot with it. It's pretty versatile.
It's a nice putting holes in paper rifle.
Oh yeah.
For a kid to get used to it and the bang. I mean, it's more fun to knock down cans and explode water bottles with it. But at that price, I don't know. The price of a box of 22 Magnum now comes in pretty much equal to a box of 115 grain full metal jacketed 9mm, crunch and ticker ammo, if you know what I mean.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So I would almost rather buy the 9mm and shoot than 22. But in your situation, I'd totally take that trade.
Oh, yeah.
Because if for nothing else, that's something that you can find a market for something that may come in handy. I mean, that 22 Magnum trade is totally worth a trade for a good pump action shotgun in 20 gauge.
Oh yeah.
Or
that's
it's totally worth a trade for a nice 22 long rifle revolver. It may be even worth a trade for a nice, say maybe a Bursta 380 pistol that would be good for leaving in say in your truck if you live in an area where you could leave a weapon in your vehicle, and something that you're not necessarily worried about the corrosion and value loss on the weapon. So yeah, I'd totally take that 22 mag trade, dude.
Yeah, I mean, looking on the value end for what I have, I think that the climbing tree stand that I have is valued probably somewhere between $120 and probably $250. So I think.
I'm saying if it's a used climbing tree stand, yeah, I'd say you're looking at $100 at the most. But that's also differences in areas, because that's not necessarily a well needed item. Hey, look, I'm looking at the clock, man. It's we're getting close. We got to hit 4 important things right now. That's the rule of safety. All right. So first rule against safety: every weapon is loaded until you verify, you physically inspect, you crack it open, you flip out the cylinder, you remove the mag, you slap the slide back, you crack that action open. It is unloaded. Then it's cool.
Yeah.
Second rule, Nick.
Yeah, I'll always make sure that you keep that muzzle away from anything that you do not want to shoot. You make sure that the muzzle direction is away from people, from dwellings, and then you go ahead and that rolls right into making sure that you are sure of your target and what is beyond it. If you're shooting at a range, you make sure that you're staying within your lane. You've got your discipline in terms of being able to handle the recoil, and if
you're at the dump popping at cans and busted up propane bottles and broken weed whackers, make sure you know what's 50 yards behind that field, 100 yards behind that.
Yeah. Making sure you're not setting stuff on top of big flat rocks.
Right.
And that brings us to the last one, Michael.
Nick, I can sum it up in 3 words: booger hooks and bang switches.
There you go.
People, please keep your trigger finger off the trigger until you are ready to fire and you've met the other 3 criteria of the rules against safety. Keep that booger hook off the bang switch until you're ready to fire. And to me, that's the most important rule. I mean, it's the most fun to say, but it's the most important rule, because no weapon discharges accidentally or negligently until you put your finger on the trigger.
That's right.
So
that's right. I think that's a pretty good way to sum it up.
So, some things I'd like to look at maybe for the future here. I've noticed that Ruger now has its own 5.56 direct impingement carbine.
Right.
Their own little M4 and or M forgery, I guess it would be the closest thing to call it at this point, because it is going to be the closest thing, and it's coming from Ruger, which has significant financial backing. Ruger stock's doing fairly well.
Yeah,
I think it's doing better. I do believe it's doing better than GM.
Yeah, and actually has not
gone
under.
Fiat, or Fiat.
Yeah. Yeah, you're talking the Ruger SR556.
That's right, and that's a new item coming out, and that kind of brings to mind because Ruger's actually pushing the envelope, because not only due to the SR 5.56, which is really a neat idea that a major manufacturer other than Colt, or a small manufacturer that's coming up to become a name is actually doing something that puts serious firepower in the people's hands. They've also got a 9mm LCR revolver coming out, which is pretty nifty. Which Ruger pushing the envelope by offering these things that are a little non-traditional for their place makes me kind of wonder what would you like to see come out of a manufacturer?
Well, you're talking about the SR556 from Ruger, and actually, I think we've hit this before. One of the things that I would like to see is more manufacturers doing what Ruger's doing here, and that's integrating a gas piston system instead of the direct impingement, and that's what the SR556 has.
SR556 is direct impingement. It is not a gas system.
The one I'm looking at has the 2-stage piston, so it's got a 4-position gas regulator on it. So that would not be direct impingement.
Oh, that's wild. Now, how much does that one come in at?
Well, that I don't see a price on it, but I've just got the specs on it and what it does come with.
I've got the word that Ruger's 5.56 direct impingement system, which we're not going to quote my buddy Ivan Chesnikoff on what it actually means. That comes in at under $500, within 10% of $500. And that's a pretty screaming deal right there. For a company that's got a quality control system like Ruger and customer service like Ruger. Hell, man, if I was brand new to it, I'd buy one of those right there. That's what I would get.
Yeah, well, and like I said, the one that I'm looking at right here coming off of Ruger, and this is probably a very brand new production SR556. This one, like I said, it comes with the mil-spec M4 type 6-position stock. It comes with a chrome line barrel. It also comes with the Troy Industries backup iron sights. So it's not just a flat top carbine.
That's a pretty. So it's ready to go straight out of the box.
Yeah, and
it comes with. You get that, you don't have to go out and spend another $250.
No.
Basically buy yourself a Ruger 1022 to pop on top of that thing, so it's ready to go.
Right.
This thing is ready to go. It's got a 30 round magazine. You don't necessarily got to go out and buy optics. It's ready to flip up the sights and go.
That's it, and it comes with the three PMags. So you've already got some. That's pretty nice. You are ready to go with 90 rounds right out of the box. Right. So like I said, I think out of all the screaming deals and the innovation that I'd like to see out of manufacturers, I think you were right on the money when you talked about Ruger.
Well, I think Ruger right now is showing a whole lot of down here how they say ganas.
Yeah,
Ruger's got ganas right now.
Definitely.
I think they can take it, and I'll tell you what. For my money, Ruger'd be smart to take a little bit of their excess capital and maybe buy a company like Kel-Tec.
Oh yeah, they'd have some work to do.
Take some of the brains from Kel-Tec, and take some of the decent designs from Kel-Tec, and make them Ruger reliable. Seriously, make them Ruger reliable, and give it the same Ruger customer service, but make it Kel-Tec and make it workable. And I'll tell you what, you turn Kel-Tec into into something that beats Taurus for market position.
All right, well, Michael, we're getting close. I wanted to go ahead and say thanks to Jules for giving us a platform to go ahead and talk about firearms and getting a lot of information out to the listening public. Who do you want to say thanks to?
Nick, I would totally like to thank Jules and UCY.TV, and I'd like to thank all our listeners. I mean, really, we're doing this. We enjoy doing this, and to be honest with you, Nick and I would be having this conversation whether or not y'all were listening. We're glad you're listening, and we're glad that that you enjoy the programming on UCY. And I mean, there's really a ton of information out there that you're really not getting from anybody else. Lots of good shows. Proper Chicks Live After Dark coming up next. Nick, thank you very much. I hear the music coming in. Good to talk to you. Everybody, get out there, buy a gun. Don't get on the Ebola bus. Don't go to no Ebola camp. Don't get no Ebola vaccine.
All right. We'll do it again next week.
Don't kiss nobody from Dallas on the mouth.